Hello, hello. My name is Claudia and welcome to GroovyTakeOn. Let's talk about senior housing options. Is the topic that everybody would like to talk about? I'm not sure. Is it easy topic to talk about? No, not necessarily. No, not necessarily. But is it important to talk about it? Absolutely yes. Why? Because at some point, everyone, and I mean everyone, is going to have to plan accordingly about their senior housing options, what is available out there, what to choose, where to live. And maybe right now it's not your time, but sooner or later you will have to think about it. So everything depends on how old are you today, but so many years into the future, you will have to think about it. And then what? So this is something to take under consideration. Now, that being said, why this video and who is the audience for this video? Well, first of all, GroovyTakeOn is all about how we can help older adults, so people 65 and better, to embrace social media, technology, online and offline world. Simply get ready, stay safe, online, offline. Yeah, that's how it works. Now, this video is for older adults, 65 and better, who are searching for senior housing options, different options that they are going through the transition, and they will maybe search for a different housing. Now, that video is also, I hope it's going to be useful for all the family members, kids, grandkids of older adults who are going through the transition. You might get some useful information out of this video. So later on, you will be able to provide support and help. Now, not every older adult need help. Let's just get that out there right away. Not every older adult needs help, but those who need that help, who need that support to find the right housing option, that video is for you or your family members who will help you along the way. Oh, and just in case, plug-in, I guess, promotion, my co-host and myself, co-host Renee and myself, Claudia. We also have GroovyTakeOn podcast. You can find that podcast everywhere on most of the podcast platforms. And we already talked about this topic. So if you don't want to watch the video for some reason, but you prefer to listen to a podcast, we've got podcasts on this topic. And the link is in the description to this video. So you can just click there and go and listen to that episode as well. All right, so let's talk about those senior housing options. And of course, I love to start with stats because statistics, numbers, they kind of speak to some people. So let's talk about that part first. Combined senior housing transition volume through year-end 2017 is reported as $16.7 billion in publicly announced transactions. Now, when it comes down to healthcare, because that's kind of important, in the United States, annual expenditures on healthcare services were estimated to total nearly $3.7 trillion in 2017. So healthcare is one of the largest line item in federal and state government spendings. Wow. All right. Okay. We are totally not scared that there is so much money. Let's talk about the population when it comes to number of people aged 65 and over and 85 and over in millions. So 2010, we had a population of people 65 and better at 40%, and population of people 85 and better at 5.5. And let's just skip to 2030. The prediction is population of people 65 and better would be 74%, and population of people 85 and better would be 9%. Yeah. So, and it's going to increase every decade. It's a big business. It's a huge industry with lots of money and lots of spendings, and year after year, we will need more and more money for that industry, obviously. All right, that's it about the numbers. When it comes down to senior housing options, there are several available out there. The thing is that demand is going to grow decade after decade based on those numbers and predictions. But also what we should think about is there are so many different options, housing options, senior housing options. Now, you have to ask yourself a question, which option would be the best for me? Or if you are the relative, friend, family member of the person who needs to go through a transition and is in search for that housing options, the senior housing options, which option would be the best for your loved one? And as much as there are several different information available out there, you have to do the research. You have to do your homework first. It's one of those huge transition in life. And also that part where you are moving and transitioning to the one of the retirement facilities, one of those senior housing options, you're choosing one of those. This is also a milestone in your life. For some people, it's going to be very strongly connected to losing independence, which means it's going to be very overwhelming feeling, very overwhelming to the point that depression might be there. Loneliness. Look at all those stats on loneliness. More and more people are feeling lonely. And that contributes to so many other additional issues. So all of that together, you have around your life transition. So it's not easy. First, maybe you thought, yeah, it can't be that hard, right? Well, it is. For some, it might be. For others, maybe not. But let's think about those different senior housing options. I divided that into 3 groups. The first group would be the most independent, if you will. It's on your own, pretty much, with additional services that you can get. But in general, you are on your own. You are in control of your life. And second group would be kind of combination between sort of independent, but also with additional services provided to you in the facility or community you are going to live. And the third option, the third group, would be the group that offers you the most of services in your facility. So it's maybe not independent, and you would think, because almost everything is provided to you. You can probably guess, and your guess is right, that the third option might be the most expensive. And yes, the thing is, when we are talking about those different housing options, we are talking about money. We're talking about budgeting. And unfortunately, those prices are terrible. On many occasions, when I was comparing different price tags, I'm not sure who can actually afford that when I was doing the research. I had a chance to visit different independent living facilities, assisted living facilities, and nursing homes. Also retirement communities, different type of retirement communities as well. So I was able to kind of compare prices and see the standard and the price. And again, no brainer. The higher standard you want, there's going to be a higher price tag on it. But let's talk about those 3 groups first. And then I'm going to mention some of the tips and questions you should start asking yourself when you are planning your transition into that senior housing. Also, please remember that all the links to different articles and resources that we were able to stumble across, we shared on our blog post, our website, GroovyTakeOn.com. You will be able to find a rather large blog post with the link to the podcast, with the link to this video, and with list of several different links to government, state agencies, to public or private companies, organizations, wherever we can find any useful information, piece of information, we got those links for you so you can do more of your own research based on that. At least it's some sort of starting point for you. Okay, let's talk about those three groups. So the group number one, that most independent group, if you will, would be aging in place. And how the aging in place works. Simply, you are still living in your own house. You are still living in your own house where you lived for many, many years so far. And at the beginning, it's all good because you are 65, you are 70 years old. You don't need additional help. In most cases, you might not need that additional service or care. So you could. Then you are getting older and older, and you might need that additional care, additional health care or caregiving services, but you can still stay in your own house. What you will have to think about are those additional services. So maybe hire a caregiver for a few hours a day, or maybe for 24-hour service, caregiving service. Maybe you will have to get meal service. So you will have meals delivered to your house. Housekeeping services, you have transportation services. You will have to, and that would be on you, you will have to take care of different services, get them, pay for them, all of that to still be able to live in your own house. And at the beginning, you might think it's expensive because you have to hire or pay for all those services. Yes, that's true, but also you have to understand that you have your own house. So you're not paying for that accommodation, and you pick and choose what service you might need at what point of your life. So maybe that aging in place might be a great option for you. So that's group number one. And when you look at this, the different statistics again, it seems like aging in place, it's most popular among older adults. Still, it's most popular because, and this is my personal opinion, you feel that you are still in control. You are in control of your life. You are the one who is making the decisions. You can ask for support, you can ask for help, you can ask for opinion from other people, and that's absolutely okay. But at the end of the day, you are the one who is in charge. You decide what, where, when, and how. Now, with the other options, not always you are going to be in charge. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm not saying this is good. I'm saying it's going to be different. And for some people, that aging in place might be the go-to option. But again, there's additional work that you need to do to be able to maintain that independence in your own house. The group number two, as I said, it's like the next level. You can choose, those are different type of retirement communities, and you might find different names, depends on the state, depends on the location. They try to call it differently, but at the end of the day, it's pretty much about the same. It's the age-restricted community. Some they call it senior communities, retirement communities, active adults communities. So different names for the same type of senior housing. And the senior communities, the retirement communities, those could be communities like small neighborhoods or maybe apartment complexes. Again, age restricted. So you have different options. I found also RV age-restricted communities, so RV retirement communities, then mobile homes communities. Now what is getting more and more popular and getting more and more traction are manufactured homes. And I have to be honest, those that I found online at least, they look great. I think they are so user-friendly, age user-friendly. They are built with the idea that they are for older adults. So it's easy to maneuver if you have to be on a wheelchair. They look nice, kind of modern. You have access to everything there, and it's so easy. They look good, and they are not as expensive as, for example, regular house. By the way, if you by any chance can hear a snoring in the background, obviously that's not me, that's my dog. And she loves to join me while recording the video, so I have no option but just come on, snore away, my dear. Okay, let's get back to the senior housing options. So yes, there are different type of retirement communities, standalone houses, neighborhoods, apartment buildings, RV community, senior communities, manufactured home, mobile homes. You have several different options. The way it works is, again, it's more towards independent lifestyle. Is just age restricted. So nobody younger than, for example, 55, 65, 52 won't be able to be owner of the place, their house or apartment. And those age-restricted communities serve residents with senior-friendly features, amenities, activities, fitness classes, fitness centers, and more. Medical and personal care usually is not included, but in some cases, housekeeping, meals, and other services may be purchased at an additional cost. But at the end of the day, it's very much independent lifestyle. The common link is that it's age-restricted community, and you might get access to some of the services, but it's not very much on the high level of care services. We will get to those in the group number 3. So that was group number 2, and it's up to you which one. It's like the next step from aging in place, but still very much independent. Of course, you are going to pay here a little bit more than aging in place, because aging in place, you are just paying for your own house, utilities, HOA. In these communities, you are paying, maybe that HOA might be a little bit higher because you have access to those additional services. Those retirement communities, I think, are a very interesting option. If you can afford that, it's a very interesting option because you are still independent, but you have access to some of the things that you might like, you might enjoy, you can participate, so you are very much active. So, for example, some of those age-restricted communities, they offer several different interest clubs, from computer clubs to arts clubs to theater, music, foreign language classes. You have different options. And if you can find something that you like, there is a chance that you can suggest, recommend, and the employees who are working in those communities, they will try, the activity directors or whoever they are, they will try to help you and maybe establish a new interest club. So there are several different options. I think it's wonderful, but again, you have to check if something like community like that is available near you or if you can afford. Third group will offer you the largest number of different levels of care. And that group contains different subgroups. But in general, about the third group, think about maybe independent living facilities. So still, it's kind of a little bit like the group number 2, but in that third group, it's everything. It's organized by third party, so by organization or a company. They build a facility. They are offering you all the services available there. So it's more the higher level of care, if you will. And even if in facilities that they like to call independent living facilities, even in those facilities, the level of care is a little bit higher than in the group number 2 or aging in place, the group number 1. What the independent living facilities offer. So no medical care or personal care services, but you can hire in-home help. The independent living facilities services may include prepared meals, planned activities, housekeeping, transportation, all-inclusive rent, laundry services, and more. Imagine like a huge apartment complex, like a huge hotel. Really? Yeah, it's like a huge hotel. You live in one of those apartments. The size of those apartments may vary. Everything depends on your budget, of course. You can get like a studio apartment or 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment. And you share common spaces with other residents. So you have the fitness center, you have a dining room, you have activity center, a whole bunch of things. They provide you with transportation services. So if you have to go to see the doctor, you have to go to the store, you have to go somewhere for the meeting, they will offer the transportation for you. You have different activities offered there, different interest groups. several different options, and of course provided meals. But still, at the end of the day, you can have your own car, you are independent, you have just basic things provided to you. That independent living, now you have the assisted living. That's another level, and again, it's like kind of additional levels of care. Assisted living, sometimes they call it supported care facilities, but in general, probably the names that you are going to hear are assisted living facility. So assisted living facilities support independence, but offer different levels of personal assistance with daily activities, which may include meals, bathing, dressing, medication management, transportation, assistance with activities of daily living, that's ADL they call it, housekeeping, healthcare, and more. With the assisted living, obviously you feel like you have more. You have access to more levels of care. And in several of those assisted living facilities, the way it looks is they will, you just get there. Now you want to know how much you have to pay for it. They're showing you different price tags. Of course, the price tag will depend on the size of your apartment that you are going to get from them. So either a studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment. Now also the price tag, so your monthly fee will depend on the level of care you want. So when you are just getting there and you still don't need that much care, you will go probably with the first level of care or the second level of care, which means that they will help you with basic things, but you still don't need that major care service. Again, the price tags are going to increase based on the level of care you might need. And let's say a few years from now, you need more level of care, you will just upgrade to the higher level of care. You will have to pay more, obviously, but you will get that level of care that you need. Again, assisted living facility looks like a hotel, looks like apartment building. And you have those common areas that you can enjoy and share with other residents, and you have your own apartment. Now, the next level, so you had independent, assisted, and then you have the memory care facilities. Memory care facilities, also called Alzheimer's special care, provide a safe and supportive environment for those with Alzheimer's disease. Skilled nurses and medical personnel is available there, and those facilities, they may include services such as daily meals, 24/7 supervised care plans, social programs, medication management, physical therapy, housekeeping, and more. Those facilities, I would be very careful. I mean, I always recommend to do a diligence search to make sure that the facility you're going to choose, you did a good homework on it, that you made sure that you ask all the necessary questions, that you make sure that you are keeping everything under control, that everything is to your liking, and that you can afford that kind of lifestyle and that facility, live in that kind of facility for many years to come. So the budgeting, the different services that you're offering, you have to make sure that you double check all of that. My concern is always with the memory care facilities, because in many cases, this is facility where you, the decision maker, you are not the person who is going to live in that facility. Usually it's your loved one, it's your parent, your grandparent, your significant other. You have to make the decision, but the person who is going to live there, that's not you. So I would say double, triple make sure. Because the way I see it, when you are choosing assisted living facility, when you are choosing independent living facility, if you don't like it at some point, you can make the decision, you know what, I have to find something different. Either I cannot afford it, or I don't like it anymore, or something is just not working for me here. You can just go and change that. You can make the decision to live somewhere else. You can do something because you are in control. You might need somebody's help, but you will ask for that help. You will contact someone. With the memory care facilities residents, those residents, they need that help, they need that care, and quite often they won't be able to communicate that they are not properly cared for. I'm not saying every memory care facility is bad, but I'm saying it's better to be safe than sorry, I guess, and make sure that this is the best option for your loved ones. And there are wonderful memory care facilities available out there. You just have to do a proper research, ask questions to make sure that you found the right one. So now we talked about those basic, group number 3, organized housing options for seniors. Now we had the independent living, assisted living, memory care facilities. Then the next step, and it's interchanged with memory care, but not always, but it could be, is the nursing homes. So nursing homes, that's another level of care. And in this case, I was trying to imagine how should I compare that to other options. And nursing home, nursing care in this case, that would be the highest level of care. It's almost like the closest to the hospital you can think of. And even when you go to nursing home, or maybe that was just my case, I visited quite few, and the common link was nursing home for me, even if those that you have to pay more money, they all look kind of alike. It's kind of hospital style more than residential style. So you have, again, it's like a building with many, many rooms there. Quite often in nursing homes, on average, you will have 2 residents per room. But many of them are people who are bedridden, so they have to, in many cases, those are residents who need to stay in bed. And it's more like kind of hospital. And I think it's just because of the level of care that needs to be provided to those residents. But nursing homes, this is the next level. When I was talking to several people about nursing homes and I was asking questions, most cases people are scared of nursing homes. Because it's the stories that we heard over the years, they are not necessarily the best stories you can imagine. So I guess that's the bad rep. But also I think it's so crucial to find the proper nursing home. And again, when it comes down to nursing home, you who's going to make the decision which nursing home is right one, you are not usually the person who's going to live in that nursing home. So make sure that you found the perfect solution, that you found the best option available out there for the money that you have. Because unfortunately, as wonderful as we can talk about the different senior housing options, at the end of the day, you have to think about the money as well and the budgeting. Do you have enough money to live in whatever housing option you want to live in? And the planning, you have to start as early as possible, whether you like it or not, but you have to think about this. Unless, I don't know, somebody's going to take care of you and they can afford to take care of you. That's a different story. But at the end of the day, you have to think about the money side as well. So that's the group number 3. But I mentioned earlier that group number 3 with the independent living, assisted living, memory care living facilities, nursing homes, there are, and this is, think about this as organized facilities, and those facilities are run by organizations, private businesses, corporations. Those organized facilities, right? You can pick and choose which one you want to live in. And you can switch from businesses, organizations to organizations, whichever you like. Now, there's also one of the options. It's called continuing care retirement communities. That's pretty much all of those in one under one corporation. So you start with, for example, independent living facility, and you will move over the years to assisted living facility, nursing home, or memory care facility. But all of that transition, those small transitions to different level of care, would be under the same company, under the same within the same community. Now, that continuing care retirement communities, that's so far that I found, they might cost you the most because the financing of it seems totally different. For example, if you decide to go with specific independent living facility or assisted living facility, and it's not under the continuing care retirement community, but just standalone facility and assisted living facility or independent living facility, then you will just pay monthly fees to live there. And you don't care about anything else. You just, as long as you have your monthly fee paid on time, you're good to go. When it comes down to continuing care retirement community, I think that the part that is confusing to me, at least, was the financial part. How do I pay for that CCRC? It's the most appealing form of senior housing because within one community, you will move from that independent living to assisted living to memory care living. So you are taken care of all the way throughout the years, and you will have different level of care, whatever level of care you might need. And everything is under kind of one umbrella, under one organization, which is obviously a very nice option to choose, but also the financial side of it might be slightly confusing, and not only to me. If you have that kind of money to spend, if you have that kind of savings to be able to pay for continuing care retirement community, why not? That would be probably the easiest option because you have all the services, all the levels of care provided to you for the rest of your life. So that's an option. But the question is how many people can actually afford it? I'm not sure if that's majority. I don't think so. So that would be all those levels of care that you can choose from, the different senior housing options. Now, the last group that I haven't mentioned, and it's still under group number 3, so independent, assisted, memory care, nursing home, but it's a little bit different, but provides kind of the same level of care, which is the higher level of care. That would be group homes. And group homes, sometimes you might stumble across a name as adult family homes, adult care homes, personal care homes, even adult foster home. That usually located in the residential neighborhoods that has been transformed to provide for the needs and safety of seniors. Depends on the state. Those are licensed or regulated with between 2 up to 9 non-resident, between 2 up to 9 non-related residents. The homes provide some essential services, including room, board, assistance with activities of daily living, ADLs, personal care, laundry, social services, and any supervision needed to make sure everyone is safe and well cared for. Additional services, transfer and mobility, transport, eating assistant, bathing assistant, dressing, grooming, hygiene assistant, cognitive assistance, or behavioral monitoring. And the cost depends on the service you want and the group home that you would like to choose. It may vary. But this is also the option. And on many occasions in a residential area in your neighborhood, you might not even know that you live next door to a group home. You don't know that. They just look like regular houses. And the difference is that there are residents who are not related to each other, and those are older adults who are living in those group homes. Again, finding the proper one, the right one, it's never easy. It's a word of mouth, recommendations, referrals. You have to do the research. But basically, that's the senior housing options available now. The last one that I would like to mention, and I have several articles, links to articles on that topic because I find it fun. Retiring on a cruise ship. Yeah. On the cruise liner, you just simply go with the option that you are going to travel the world and enjoy the time with a bunch of strangers, I guess, all year long. It was less expensive quite a few years ago. Now it's more expensive when it comes down to budgeting and financial planning, but it's still an option. So if all of those housing options that I mentioned so far, it's not for you, maybe retiring on a cruise liner, on a cruise ship is the option for you. So why not to try this? There are people who are enjoying that. It's not very cheap living, but not very cheap retirement option. It's, I guess, so much fun. And you have that level of care available there. Maybe not on the level of assisted living or a nursing home, but you are taken care of. So why not to check that as well? And that would be all when it comes down to different senior housing options. But what questions you should ask yourself before you jump into selecting specific one? When I stumble across some stats that says that majority on average, we are looking for assisted living facilities or any type of senior housing option is when we hit that 80 years of age. What questions you should ask yourself and how you should get ready and prepared for that transition? Well, are you ready for the life transition? Where to start and who to ask for help? Ask people for support. There are agencies that help to find a senior housing option for you. You can contact a senior transition coordinator known as senior housing advisor. Look for those. They can help you. Usually the way they work, they just get money they are paid from facilities that they refer to. So I guess that's how it works. But they can give you the list of different senior housing options in your area, in the location that you are interested in. So at least this is a starting point where you can start your search. There are government websites with the elder long-term care options locators. Again, links to those I will add to the post. You can check your local area agency on aging, where you can find help to locate senior housing facilities. You have to ask around. You have to, if not this, go on Facebook, start checking different Facebook groups. Maybe people are sharing some information. The good thing is you can search for information about different facilities available in your area, but also you can find what people think about those facilities. If there's a good or bad, you can find and ask people about it. And that's why social media might be a solution for you to do that research. If you don't feel comfortable to do that, ask your family members or friends to help you with that. You have to start the budget. And probably you already did that, so it's all good. But to take care of the financial side is so important as well. Maybe going and have a meeting with the financial advisor, writing your will, whatever that might be. It's important to plan your finances, plan everything in case something happened to you and you won't be able to make the decisions on your own. Who do you trust? And I'm not saying something is going to happen to you tomorrow. I'm saying it's good to plan accordingly for the future. So you know everything is taken care of the way you want and not somebody else. You decide upfront about your life, your well-being, about yourself, and you trust specific people, get them on board, get them involved. There are several questions you should be prepared to ask. And in many cases, ask about Medicare, Medicaid. If you are a veteran, contact your Veterans Affairs Agency office. Make sure that you get all the questions in check, or just ask where you should look for information. I mentioned Veterans Affairs because if you are a veteran, your significant other, your husband, your wife is a veteran, maybe there are some options for you. Maybe there is some additional support and help you can get from Veterans Affairs office. Medicare, ask about the long-term care and whatnot. Ask those questions. What, in case of whatever, how you can get the help or money from, if Medicare is going to pay for whatever you need, whatever care you might need. Medicaid, how that works. There are so many questions about budgeting. Now, okay, you took care of the budgeting. You took care of the facility you would like to go to. Now let's talk about downsizing. Yes, because you lived in your apartment or your house, and over the years, we collected quite a bit of things, right? It's going to be a downsizing process. Your new place of living would be probably on average like apartment, so sometimes kind of smallish apartment. You might think about downsizing. And if you start planning accordingly, if you start doing the downsizing way ahead, that will be less overwhelming. You will be way much more prepared, and the transition to a new location, the transition to that independent living, to assisting living, or that independent living community, the independent living facility, or the retirement community might be way much easier and not as overwhelming. It might be overwhelming anyway because it's a big transition. That's a huge life change, but you are prepared. You have so many answers to so many questions that you had. It's going to be a little bit easier if you are better prepared. And if independence is so important to you, planning, getting those answers, making decisions, you are in control. All you do is just getting help and support from others, but you are the one who is in control. So I think that would be all for today. And I think that's so many things you have to think about. So I wish you all the best as always. And as always, GroovyTakeOn and GroovyTakeOn podcast is all about helping older adults to embrace online and offline world, how to stay safe, how to get ready online and offline, and just feel comfortable within all of that, what is happening there. So just sharing some tips and tricks, how to embrace that. Thank you so much. And as always, stay safe, stay groovy. Thank you, Mom, for watching. See you next time.